the House of Representatives, a bill was approved in second debate that seeks to allocate 10% of the proceeds of tourism card to hospital infrastructure.
This is a Project 452 of 2020, which consists of reforming Law 47 so that no less than 10% of the collection by the tourism card is destined to the purchase of modern equipment for San Andres Providence and Ceclina Hospital. The author of the bill, Elizabeth J. Pang, thanked the green light that was given to this initiative in second debate.
On behalf of the inhabitants of San Andres, Old Providence, and Ceclina, I want to give thanks for the total support we have had for this project. This is a project that comes at a good time because we in San Andres lack a hospital that responds to all the needs that its inhabitants have. The main objective of this project is to address the situation that the inhabitants experience when they do not have a diagnosis because we do not have technological equipment or a CAT scan or a scanner. In times of pandemic, when the situation was critical, we did not even have the supplies to be able to attend. So this project will not only address the issue of equipment, but will also allow the updating of doctors and nurses who provide this service.
Within this project, there is also the technological update for the collection of the tourism card at the departmental airport. This to have greater agility when they're receiving the visitors to the department.
Monitoring continues by the Institute of Hydrology, Meteorology, and Environmental Studies to the formation of Tropical Depression number 9 of the season in the Northern Caribbean Sea.
In its most recent communique, IDEAM report that in the last hours, cloudy conditions have prevailed with rainfall of varying intensity accompanied by thunderstorms in several sectors of the Colombian Caribbean, including the continental and insular maritime areas of San Andres, Old Providence, and Santa Catalina. The latest report from the National Hurricane Center of the National Office of Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration announced the formation of a tropical depression number 9 near latitude 16.9 north, longitude 79.2 west, distant from the archipelago at 554 kilometers north of San Andres and 458 kilometers north of the island of Old Providence. The system is moving towards the northwest with an approximate speed of 20 kilometers per hour, and it is expected to continue in this direction during the next few days, moving away from the national territory. Currently, the maximum sustained winds in the system reaches 55 kilometers per hour. With higher gusts, its minimum central pressure is estimated at 1,005 millibars, and it is forecast to evolve into tropical storm tonight, and it's continued to move away from the national maritime area and without direct affectation in the island and keys of the Colombian Caribbean. This was stated by the coordinator of the IDEAM's Weather Analysis and Forecast Group.
The tropical depression is moving at a speed of 20 km per hour towards the northwest. It is moving away from the Colombian territory, away from the archipelago of San Andres and Old Providence. However, IDEAM recommends maintaining preventive measures since the external bands may generate rains in the Colombian maritime area and in the archipelago. The IDEAM will continue to monitor the evolution of this system.
The IDEAM suggests special attention in the archipelago of San Andres, Old Providence, and Santa Catalina, where moderate to heavy rains are likely during today, Thursday, and tomorrow, Friday. Likewise, the National Maritime Authority will continue to carry out constant monitoring of the atmospheric ocean condition in the Caribbean Sea in order to inform the maritime community in a timely manner.
And in other news, inscriptions are open for those who wish to apply for the position of Director of the OCCRES for the period 2022. In the same way, the name of one of those interested in occupying this position has been announced.
On September 17, the election of the new director of the OCCRES Control Circulation and Residence Office will take place, and from today, the interest parties will be able to apply for this position. Teleislas was able to learn that the current director of the entity, Oswaldo Madariaga, plans to relaunch for the position. Madariaga is a legal profession and was inaugurated as director of this population control body on September 23rd of 2020. It is noteworthy that the duration of the director of the OCCRES is 1 year. Among those who have held this position are Abraham Forbes, director in 2019, and Catherine Archibald Ramirez, director of the entity in 2018.
Installation, the change of position, and the new designation of the new commander of the Caribbean Air Group took place today.
In a military ceremony, Colonel Alexander Rodriguez Rojas, who served as commander of the Caribbean Air Group, handed over the position to Colonel Ricardo Galán, who today assumes the position in the archipelago, announcing his work plan in the islands.
La intención es seguir aunando el esfuerzo que está haciendo la Fuerza Aérea.
The intention is to continue joining efforts that the Air Force is doing interinstitutionally with the state agencies to continue working on the reconstruction of San Andres, Old Providence due to the hurricane. The expectations are to make the country's Air Force grow, to support more operations in the north of the country, especially in what has to do with drug trafficking, to continue supporting the island in social issues. The scope of the FAC is very large. The intention is that we can develop all the capabilities of the Colombian Air Force in the north of the country and here in San Andres and Old Providence.
The outgoing director of the Caribbean Air Group, Colonel Alexander Rodriguez, gave a balance of his work in the archipelago, which covered the COVID-19 pandemic and the passage of hurricanes Eta and Iota.
La Fuerza Aérea se aportó a través de nosotros para que el departamento.
The Air Force contributed through us so that the department will receive the necessary support to install ICUs, bring medical specialists, and humanitarian aid. We used all our air resources in transportations so that all urgent activities that are needed to guarantee health will be provided.
The new Air Force commander indicated that aeromedical transfers will continue to be carried out in the archipelago and support for the reconstruction process in Providence will continue.
And after the Cambio Radical party filed a request before the National Electoral Council so that youth of the islands of San Andres may participate and register in the municipal youth councils, said entity gave a positive answer to the request.
Taking into account that the National Electoral Council argued that the island of San Andres, for being represented as a department and not as a municipality, could not participate as part of a municipal youth council, whose registrations end today in the national territory, and in view of the requests of the young people of the islands, the Radical Change Party established the requirements so that not only Old Providence can participate, but the whole archipelago as a whole. Congressman Jorge Méndez explained the request.
Bueno, es que ante la denuncia que han hecho los jóvenes de las islas.
In view of the denunciation made by the young people of the island of not being able to register for the Youth Council elections to be held throughout the national territory next September, our party raised the request to the National Electoral Council. After our request, the Electoral Council accepted to hold the elections for our young people so they can register, and the deadline is today. However, given the special case that it was barely approved for San Andres, we hope they will extend the deadline to 2 more weeks so that the young people can register and participate in the democratic exercise of the municipal youth councils.
It should be remembered that in the municipality of Old Providence, the inscriptions advance in accordance with the requirements of the National Electoral Council. On the other hand, the National Record of the Civil Status reported this afternoon on the extension of the delivery of lists of independent youth for youth councils until September 13. Teleislas News will be expanding this information in the Emission of tomorrow.
And the first of the workshops for the formation of the Association of Users of Sanitas in the department was held today.
Through the creation of an association of users of the health service provider, it is expected that the processes in the provision of service, for example, medicines and request and requirement of the same, will be expedited.
This meeting that we have today is for the association of sanitas for the user name. All user name that have problems with this entity can come and require to the association and talk about the problem that they have. If they don't solve it, then you have to go somewhere else, that is the Secretary of Health office, or sometimes you have to go right to the Defensoría del Pueblo that can help you better in your health and in your problem that you have.
The creation of this association also provides benefit in decision making within the entities due to its conformation, since this board provides seats in many instances, such as the board of directors of hospitals and health service providers.
We are going to make the call next week, giving a time of 15 days for the information sharing, and we will continue to communicate via the different media outlets. We will go to the community action boards, and we will try to move people towards this conformation in order to develop the assembly by mid-September and have an active and functioning users association in the department. Good evening, Lisa, and all our viewers. I greet you from Old Providence and Catalina with the most relevant news of the municipality. The contracts have been awarded by the National Natural Parks for the reconstruction of the headquarters in Old Providence, as well as the infrastructure of Crab Cay. More information with Dean.
Crab Cay will have a larger infrastructure, and the headquarters of the National Natural Park will soon be rebuilt. This was announced by the manager in charge of the black crab operation in his last visit to the municipality.
Contracts have already been awarded by the National Natural Park for the recovery of the entire park headquarters, but also all the physical infrastructure in Crab Cay. That is to say, we will rebuild the platform where all the boats arrived, what we had there, and it will surely be better.
Expanding the dock has been a plan for several years, and now it's possible thanks to an international cooperation project with Germany.
The pier was getting too small for the amount of tourists that were arriving, so we are going to expand it a little. The visitor service kiosk where drinks and light meals were sold will also be remodeled.
Finally, a lookout point will be built on the highest part of the quay.
It is an infrastructure made entirely of wood with a very interesting design. It is round, and that will allow people who previously had access to that natural viewpoint on the rock, which was a bit dangerous, to enjoy more of the landscape that can be seen from that place.
The investment for both projects is around 2,000 million pesos.
And in other news, today and tomorrow, musicians and experts will share knowledge and experiences about the music industry at the first Creative Economy Lab for musicians in Old Providence.
With the support of the Ministry of Culture and the Ford Foundation, the first Creative Economy Laboratory for musicians was held in Old Providence.
In February, when I came here for the first time, I held a meeting with farmers, women, children, and in that meeting, artists showed their interest in promoting their music in the continent, in strengthening their organizations, in having spaces for promotion, and opening new markets. So this laboratory is a response to the need of these musicians.
The laboratory counted with the participation of representatives of the circular art and the Caribbean cultural market.
We believe that the most important thing we came to share is to show you which circulation spaces are currently available or active within the country, within the region, so that the musicians who are working in Providence can take advantage of these spaces and understand how they work.
Some participants talk about the importance of this type of events.
When we know the ecosystem, the music industry, the way how we can do things to survive and can keep active, then I believe things will go better, and that is what this program and this tire and things they show.
The lab will continue tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Okay, so far these are the news for this section today. Lisa, continue with more information from San Andres.
Thank you, Millie. Now we continue with Victor Fusalba and all the sport news of our department.
Hello, here are the best sports of the islands. The next Colombian professional basketball bubble will be held here in San Andres. Basketball is one of the traditional sports of the island culture, and San Andres will be the venue for the next Colombian Professional Basketball Tournament organized by the Professional Basketball Federation. The Jenny Bay Basketball Coliseum will be undergoing the necessary modification to be able to carry out this great event. This was stated by Dr. Everett Hawkins-Chagreen, the head of the Insular Department.
I am very pleased to announce that we have arranged to make the necessary adjustments on our Jenny Bay Coliseum to do the Bubble or Professional Basketball Championship in our country that will take place here in San Andres, Old Providence and Santa Catalina from mid-October and will go until the first week of December.
It was also ratified by the Secretary of Sport, Alberto Olivares Taylor.
We are willing to hold this great event here in the archipelago. It is the first time that this event will be held here in the department. We thank the Colombian Basketball Federation.
This is a very important news for the island community and all Colombian basketball lovers, since San Andres is one of the most important tourist attractions in the national territory. An event that will generate economic income for the island archipelago, as stated by the Secretary of Sport. A basketball tournament in St. Louis integrates the community of this sector. The return of basketball to the St. Louis sector integrates the community in sports, cultural, and recreational aspects, where both children and adults who are passionate about this sport participated. These fans come out to enjoy and integrate with this sporting activity whenever there is a program. This was stated by Mark Cottrell.
Right now we're in one field where we learn to play basketball. They're not the same one, but the Rancho basketball field. And right now, we enjoy for culture, for basketball, the passion of where people come out from in the neighborhood, they enjoy themselves. And also they integrate because we had more than 1 year, never they play, never they do what we got to do. And we miss the basketball, we miss basketball. We only could have seen through TV when we could have seen.
The St. Louis sector demonstrates once again why they are one of the leading sectors for the practice of the game of basketball in the islands.